Though it seems like a brief shining streak in the sky, there was a very real period where happiness existed. Where my mind didn't have to think about the daunting prospects of living in a post-apocalyptic world due to greedy humans not believing in global warming, and thinking that not wearing a mask is a symbol of rebellion because for some reason masks are oppressing basic human rights because, masks are a symbol of tyranny and the New World Order. Wait, what?
We are being lied to, our freedoms are being taken forever, and I will not be muzzled like a mad dog. Go along with the lies that are the people who are trying to take down our freedoms and destroy our country. This is sick. We stand back and let these pieces of crap and our freedoms. We will have nothing left. In fact, we'll end up being dead.
Yeah, anyway, forget that. That's not why we're here today. We're here to commemorate a special time that me and alongside others were bathed in this ever-fleeting feeling that we know as happiness. Let's talk about the year that is known as 2007. Before diving into the magical wonder of this mystical period, I want to go back a few years further and talk about a console that revolutionized my life forever. And I'm talking about the original Xbox console, released back in 2001. This was Microsoft's first foray in the gaming console market, competing alongside gaming titans such as Sony's PlayStation 2 and Nintendo's GameCube. Now, there was a period where I remember picking up my brother's N64 controller and playing such classics that are still seared in my mind, such as Star Fox 64, GoldenEye 64, Donkey Kong and Mario 64, and so on, but I still wasn't in that age where I had enough conscience to really appreciate what I was experiencing, because I was still a dumb little apple-headed twerp, who would literally cry when told to take a bath because I wanted to be disgusting, goddammit. Disgusting! Anyways, some years passed, I grew a bit older and started to take in things around me more thoroughly. Movies started to have more impactful meanings to me, music started to broaden my worldview, and television seemed to influence my creative juices the more I watched it. But it wasn't until I got my first Xbox that things really turned my life around. It wasn't until 2003 and beyond where developers really started to put out amazingly underrated titles that blew my mind into oblivion. Titles such as Voodoo Vents, a game where you played as a voodoo doll named Vents, and your mission was to save your creator from a funny little character named Cosmo the Inscrutable. Along the way, you would learn an assortment of awesome power attacks to fight off truly awesome foes through a cartoonish depiction of the French Quarter of New Orleans. This game is so awesome and should definitely receive your attention. Or games like Brute Force, a super ahead of its time squad-based third-person shooter that allows you to switch between members and utilize their full abilities in the midst of fierce battles against zombie mutants and aliens. This game still sticks out as being a graphically superior title for the time that surprisingly holds up very well in today's modern landscape. This was definitely Microsoft's way of showcasing the Xbox interior hardware to fully flex on the competition. I used to play the shit out of these games, and others such as Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, Star Wars Republic Commando, Destroy All Humans, Subs the Zombie, The Simpsons Hit and Run, True Crime Streets of LA, Metal Arms Glitch in the System, Fusion Frenzy, Need for Speed Underground, NBA Street Volume 2, Midnight Club 2, and most notably, Halo 2. Now, that's going to be a Let's Talk About episode all on its own, but let's just say, I became a man the first time I witnessed a chief flying through space with an alien bomb, wheezing past all these Covenant ships just so the chief could give the Covenant back their bomb. Oof. But I digress. Good times, bro. It was a period of pure bliss that I will never ever forget. There are still a bunch of games that I want to play from that era that I sadly never got a chance to play, but I'll make it my mission to get my hands on them and play them for sure. Now that I got all my reminiscent thoughts out of the way, let me discuss why I think 2007 was the pinnacle of gaming. Why I consider it my personal renaissance. To give a bit more context, when I managed to get my very own Xbox 360 and played such titles like Call of Duty 2 and Gears of War, that's when I knew the future had arrived. I had a moment of wonder when playing the aforementioned epic title. How could this be real? I muttered to myself as I would turn into hamburger meat. These graphics, they're unreal. No pun intended. I was experiencing the ingenuity that developers at the time were crafting with the powerful up-and-coming technology that giant tech companies were developing, and of course, it sent my own mind's creativity department into overdrive, fantasizing about my own worlds and interpretations of the games I was playing at the time. I would constantly be daydreaming about crafting something unique of my own. The more I thought about it, the more elated I would become. Sadly, however, I never truly tapped into my own creative potential. I never translated those thoughts and dreams into muscle memory and onto an empty canvas to have a physical manifestation of what I wanted to truly make. Still though, I kept dreaming and kept enjoying others' ventures into the digital entertainment realm. Day in and day out, right after school, I would go home to play more and more. At the time, my brother was the only one managing to get all these new games, and would often invite me to come and watch him play the new Final Fantasy game, or that one obscure title that would turn into a hidden gem for me. It was surely a pleasure. But once 2006 was coming to a close and the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve, it was as if the floodgates had opened, and a roaring tide of overwhelming endorphins was about to wash over me in sweet, sweet serenity. Like, imagine this, right? One day you're playing Viva Pinata, and you're like, aw, this is a cute little game. Oh, look at all those beautiful creatures. Haha, this game is so cute, and then BAM! Suddenly you got Call of Duty 4 coming to revolutionize first-person shooters forever. And then, whoa, what's that? Oh, Halo 3? The epic conclusion to one of the greatest sagas ever made in gaming? And then, watch out, boom! Half-Life Episode 2 comes in to give us the biggest blue balls of our lifetime. And then, what? The Witcher? What's that? Oh, it's that type of party. And your mind is going, I'm getting raped! I'm being raped! Like for me, I couldn't comprehend what I was experiencing. Like games made the sudden leap into the epic cinematic main stage that was catching people's attention. When I was reading headline news like Halo 3 beats out Spider-Man, Harry Potter, and Hollywood in general because in just 24 hours and in the US alone, Halo 3 netted over $170 million for Microsoft. Yes, that is $170 million. Or Call of Duty 4 beating out Halo 3 and becoming the best-selling video game in the United States of that same year and netting over $716 million over its lifespan. The recognition these games were getting wasn't something to scoff at. This was something that everyone in the industry was placing their attention on. Games went from being something that parents would consider buying for their kids because they viewed them as toys, to AAA budget mediums that were pulling in big-name celebrities and world-renowned writers, voice actors, music composers, and all-around talented people to create highly immersive worlds that people to this day still look back fondly. One game I want to briefly focus on is Bioshock, one of the year's most innovative and gripping linear story-driven titles. Set in the year 1960, the game opens after the airplane the main character is traveling on suddenly crashes in the ocean near the bathysphere terminus that leads into the underwater city of Rapture. The game's theme is primarily shrouded in this biopunk aesthetic. Ken Levine, the game's creative lead designer, incorporated ideas by 20th century dystopian and utopian thinkers such as Ayn Rand, George Orwell, and Aldous Huxley, as well as historical figures such as John D. Rockefeller and Walt Disney. You try to find a way to escape the turbulent societal collapse of Rapture, fighting through hordes of atom-obsessed enemies and the iconic deadly Big Daddies, while engaging with the few sane humans that remain and eventually learning of Rapture's past. The game does an immaculate job at gripping your attention and never letting go. When I played the demo for the first time, I must have gone and replayed it around 200 times after because I just wanted more and more. Eventually, when I got the full game, I couldn't believe how unbelievable the whole story and gameplay was. It's essentially a horror game blended with elements of action and RPG, but it never loses its identity. The creators knew exactly what this game wanted to be, and did a good job at developing a game that it's enshrined in the hearts and minds of all those who played it. Now, if Bioshock is one of the best linear experiences of 2007, then Stalker Shadows of Chernobyl is, in my opinion, one of the most weirdly addictive games of 2007. The game is partly influenced by Boris and Arkady Strugatsky's Roadside Picnic and Andrei Tarkovsky's film Stalker, as well as the latter's subsequent novelization by the original author. Taking place in an area known as the Zone, inspired by the real-life Chernobyl exclusion zone, the game opens with the main character traversing a dangerous route while a nasty storm spews out of control. Lightning strikes your vehicle, causing it to crash violently. The character is, surprise surprise, the sole survivor and wakes up in a local black market trader's bunker. And well, if you play the game, the rest is history. The game plays out like any other first-person RPG title. You do a bunch of side quests to get good rewards and proceed to do main quests to unravel the story. The game's initial reception was also positive but critical, with a lot of people praising the game for its style and depth, primarily focusing on how immersive traversing the zone is, but also mentioning a number of annoying bugs present. However, those bugs never deterred people from enjoying the game's bleak atmosphere. I poured countless hours just simply traversing the game's environment, adapting to different combat scenarios, unlocking new loot to traverse highly radiated areas, and often gaze at the scenery for how beautiful it was. This is one of those games that you're like, I'm gonna play maybe like an hour of it, and end up playing until the next day because you just can't get off it after you start. And that's why I love this period of games so much, because there were so many games like that. The amount of times I would replay Half-Life Episode 2 just to get that dopamine hit of driving in the jalopy while an attack helicopter shoots plasma bullets and bombs at you while dodging horrifying skinless zombies attacks is just mwah. Or running through the streets of Pacific City wreaking havoc on gangsters while committing massive amounts of collateral damage made me lose hours of sleep. You might be asking yourself, why did I decide to make this video? Well, it's simple. Because I want friends. No, really. It's because I've always had this feeling of going back and reliving these moments again. Believe it or not, I reminisce a lot about this golden age of gaming, and it's actually a problem for me because that feeling of wanting to go back to this period has sort of made me disinterested in moving on and playing new modern titles. I do feel that games aren't what they used to be. I feel like developers now add too much real-world similarities for the sake of creating a more immersive world, when in reality, I'm just not all that interested in that. I play games to escape reality, not to be reminded of it. Granted, that's not all games. I know I'm being picky when I'm saying that. Like, I know there's a bunch of extremely fun titles out there like God of War, Bloodborne, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, etc. that allow me to lose myself in their worlds and enjoy spending time in. I should really embrace new worlds instead of harking so much on the past ones. But still, I won't ever forget the first time I made my very first friend on Halo 3, or called someone a dumb poopy butt face in the middle of a Call of Duty 4 match and have people scream my ears off.
I was making fun of you, you dickhead! Fucking making fun of yourself, you fucking idiot! You're looking like a loser right now. You just received using your right shield, motherfucker. That's what the fuck you are. You keep using your right shield. Hey guys, keep using your right shield. Keep using.
But that, my friends, is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching me blabber on about seemingly unimportant things, but I just wanted to make a video for you guys. I hope you appreciate it. I'm going to try and upload more Let's Play videos in between these Let's Talk About episodes because, man, these sure take a long time. But I do enjoy editing these videos, and I want to further expand this channel into something special. So click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content, and help spread the videos around. You'll live longer if you do. JK, I love you. Mwah!